Jude Brown, how are
That's
you?
me. I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Jude, I want to talk to you about SR&ED to all our fine people. But before we do that, let's talk about Jude Brown, the man, the legend. Let's talk about how you got here. Let's talk about how we work together as creator executioner. Let's talk about how you were one of my very first friends when I first moved to Victoria and what a
Do we
cool
have
guy
that
you are.
time? You're willing to devote that time to me?
I'll give you as much time as you want.
That's amazing. I appreciate
Well, I
that.
have nothing really better to do. So
So, you know what? We already have something in common this morning. That's amazing.
I know, I know. So yeah, talk to me. I mean, you're sort of like you're one of the most entrepreneurial entrepreneurs that I've ever met. You were working in digital media, and that took you to a whole bunch of different places. And now you're actually helping entrepreneurs fulfill their own dreams, doing what you're doing at SR&ED. But yeah, you've had a long storied career.
Story, yeah, it's been interesting. I've learned a lot
We all have.
with lots of areas of opportunity to learn from.
Yeah.
So that's been great. Yeah, no, it has been a fantastic journey. It's been really interesting. Um, it's funny because it doesn't matter what you're doing. People often ask you, well, how did you end up in that? Because that job, my high school counselor didn't tell me about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just got this crazy thing where, when I was in my teens, I was selling cars. I was, pure sales. And then later on in life, I ended up working for this big giant insurance company where I drove all over Canada. Sometimes I'd fly, and then I sort of ended up in the financial world. And then my wife got pregnant by me, which,
Mm-hmm.
surprised some people. And so then we were sort of faced with, what are we going to do? Are we going to stick around where we were, which was in Eastern Canada, or just outside of Toronto, or should we go back home where there might be some help? There was no help, but that's why we left. We left for the help. And of course, we ended up back in Victoria, which was great. But then I really had to figure out what I'm going to do. And in Victoria, if you weren't an entrepreneur when you were here, it will turn you into one, because especially when I grew up here, there just was nothing.
There's no jobs.
There's no job.
I've talked to so many people about that. If you come here, you walk up and down Fort Street, it's like being the king of Kensington. All it is, hey, entrepreneur, entrepreneur, entrepreneur. You know everybody, but don't come here looking for somebody to hire you.
No, and even when you were in university, your instructors would tell you, look, start studying for that government job, or work here at UVic, or find a restaurant you like and you can work there forever. All of which is fine.
Yeah.
That's totally fine, but it was limited.
Yeah.
And then, it was basically tourism or government. And then tech came in, tech services came in, and it really has changed a lot of cities across the world, which is fascinating. And that's sort of how my story developed. Is I had this weird, once I'd finished my sort of like my time in sales, I decided I need to change. I'm tired of chasing people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get certified in something important. I need to be an accountant.
Mm-hmm.
And all the people I told that to, straight face, just like, yeah, you for sure, you could do that. Of course you could do that. Yeah. Yeah. Then they're like, exactly. That's right. Everybody's covering their face, right? So I moved to this place called Thunder Bay, North Canada, cold minus 40 is not uncommon. And I do the accounting thing for real. I'm doing audits, doing all that stuff. And so I had this crazy sales, then accounting. And then after that is when we actually came back to Victoria. And that's when I'd actually, in one of my jobs, I had this big fancy title. So I was, vice president of investor relations or something, a company of 15 people, but I was a vice president. I think we had 6 vice presidents or something. Anyway, yeah, we were trying to get listed, so everyone had a great title. So anyway, I had finally been pushed over into the marketing end. And that's when I got pushed over into pure marketing, and I had a little bit of exposure to branding and all that sort of thing, and just building a business. And then when we got to Victoria, this is when social media was going crazy.
Uh-huh.
And if you said the word social media or said tweet or something like that, or can you get me on the Facebooks, people would just give you money because you were an expert. And so I had just done this for a company, which, although I only had the experience with the one company, that put me ahead of 99% of business owners.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we had 12 meetings inside of 2 weeks, and 11 of the 12 signed the same day. And it was an amazing learning experience. I was so focused on just getting something going, so I had some bread on the table, that it took me a while to actually think about what people were saying yes to. And they weren't saying yes to social media. They were saying, yes, please fix my business.
Mm-hmm.
And what I got to real quick was social media wasn't the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an anti-social media rant. We could do that in another podcast or three.
No, I think it's an anti-shiny things rant. That's what it is.
Thank you. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, I was the new shiny thing. I represented the new shiny thing, actually. And there we go. And then that's why I switched. I got so tired of people asking for the new shiny thing to fix them. I switched it from a social media marketing agency. We started growing. We had some employees and that sort of thing. And then we switched over to, okay, we're pure marketing. And then we got some, people like you on board, branding specialists, and we got writers and graphic designers and that sort of thing. And then we started, when people would approach us, then we'd have a look at their business and actually do the thing where, okay, let's do a deep dive. What are you trying to accomplish? What are you about? What makes you different? That sort of thing. And then we'd sort of accentuate those differences. So I had this crazy background, a recap real quick, crazy background, pure sales, a little bit of accounting, account management, and then got into pure marketing for a long time. And then all of a sudden, this SR&ED thing comes up. And SR&ED is called an accounting service. I get to do what exactly it is, but having the background that I have, the weird background.
You've got all the stars have aligned here, man.
It's crazy. It is really crazy because you have to be into sales. You definitely have to be in marketing, and having an accounting background is key. So it was just one of those weird things where it all came together. Should I actually?
You know what? I'm going to assume that half the people in the Brand DIY group have no idea what SR&ED is.
That would be pretty normal.
Assume they're as stupid as me.
Well, or as me not that long ago. So SR&ED, strangely, is not an acronym for something that is SH something something. It's actually SR&ED, Scientific Research Experimental Tax Credit, which is a tax credit program from the CRA. So the interesting thing about SR&ED is SR&ED will pay you if you're in a business and you're trying to overcome some challenge. That costs money. You got to throw engineers at it. You got to throw people at it for whatever problem you're trying to overcome. And that's innovation. Canada and Canada's government is big on innovation and being innovative, right? They see that as the future of our economy. A lot of it's tied into tech, which is fine, but we work with companies that bend tubes for roller coasters and invent machinery to bend tubes in a specific way. We worked with a tire recycler who had to invent a special oven to burn the tires at exactly the right temperature to recapture all of the most energy they possibly could while outputting the least noxious type of gas. Please don't ask any chemistry questions because that's as far as I go on that one. But it's an extreme. I mean, I have a meeting this afternoon, with a company that does an all-natural deodorant.
See, that to me, for the people, I know the people in this group, there's a lot of folks who are entrepreneurs and they're trying new stuff and they're always living, mouth to hand, actually the reverse of hand to mouth. They're living mouth to hand and they're wondering how they can bring their dream to life. And that is why I want to have you here, because it isn't some sort of super tech thing. It is something that everybody can take advantage of.
Totally not a super tech thing. Also, side note, we'll tackle this another day, but mouth to hand marketing, that's a new company. We just need to get everything set up.
I love Creator Executioner, the one that we had first, and the logo was absolutely killer. Thank you very much, Brad Felt. And
yes, Brad, amazing.
With that.
Now, let me just touch on something. You were talking about entrepreneurs. When you become an entrepreneur, or maybe you've already been one, but what I should say is when you start up a new business, new venture, got a new idea, it's typically to solve a pain point. We've all heard, the tropes, solve the pain, find the pain, don't, make the market, whatever it is. But you're trying to solve some challenge, typically. And so that challenge that you're trying to solve, that is actually SR&ED. So to be eligible for SR&ED, you have to have three things. So number one is the challenge, right? What is your technical uncertainty? Once you've identified the technical uncertainty, once you know what the problem is, then you've got to figure out what it is. Now, the CRA, the Canada Revenue Agency, they like to see that you're trying to figure this out in a very systematic, scientific way. And so they call this part the systematic investigation. And you have to have one of those. And you're doing that. You're sitting down with some friends, some engineers, some scientists with a whiteboard, yourself and a piece of paper, whatever it is. And you're just figuring out what your next steps are. I'm going to try it this way. You tried that way, it didn't work. Now I'm going to try it this way. That is systematic investigation. It's also the way everybody works. So they make it sound very scary, but it isn't. Now at the end, and this part I love, it's very interesting, you have to have a technological advancement. That's the third one. And that is the one most people get hung up on because they think, well, I tried, but I didn't achieve what I was trying to achieve to overcome my technological challenge. It doesn't matter. So if you chose, okay, let's just say you're building a new airplane. You think that you decide on the shark plane. Giant, like 2 wings is fine, but you need a giant fin to make it look like a shark. And you just think that's going to make it go, right? It's huge. It's like, it's front to back, it's just giant new design. You have to have a bunch of designers to fix it, you know, blah, blah, blah. They get the designs going 3D. It's so heavy, you need 25 wheels on the bottom to take off and land. Who knows? A bunch of stuff, right? It takes gas, it takes engineers to design the wings, it takes materials, all of which come into shred in different places. But you get to the end, and to nobody's surprise but your own, the shark plane is a dud. Doesn't fly, doesn't go fast, it's horrible on gas, doesn't even look cool, which you thought that was for sure going to happen. So anyway, what you did discover, however, is that either the shark plane does not go faster or the wing design needs to be improved, but you figured out some things that don't work. Now, when you go back to the drawing table, you've got less things to consider, so you're further ahead than you were when you started. That is a technological advancement.
That is very illuminating, because I could imagine a lot of people having anxiety, not even having tried out their idea yet, having brought it to market, that they're going to go, uh-oh, what if it doesn't work? Am I going to be on the hook?
Do you want to know another crazy thing? You and I are competitors. We're both making widgets. Your widget goes 10 miles per hour. I don't know how you're doing it, but somehow it goes 10 miles per hour. And the faster it goes, the more, I don't know, the more energy it gets from the sun. I have no idea how your widget does it, but it does it. It's on sale at Walmart. And you know, you can crack one open and look inside, but the fact remains, you and I are in competition. If I call you, are you going to give me all your IP for that widget?
No.
No, of course you're not. And you know what? The CRA knows that. So in my company, I'm trying to catch up to your company. Just because somebody's got something out there that's overcome that technological challenge that you're trying to overcome doesn't mean you can't do the same thing. As long as the information is not available in the public domain, you can still get shred. You can still pay those engineers to try to do what somebody else is doing, because they understand that competition is really, really important. So those are the two big things about shred: is the technological advancement at the end can be nothing, because you discovered that the thing you're trying to do is
so
not.
you need a plan. You need a systematic plan for moving this thing forward, that you can show the folks at Shred, go, okay, I've got a plan. I'm not just a monkey. 2, you need to have the idea of a technological advancement. And 3, if it doesn't work, that's still okay. So those are the 3 things for
those are the 3 things. And we don't need to be crazy on getting all the terminology correct, but just so that any other shredders are out there, someone who knows about shred, you know, knows that I know a little bit. So by the CRA terminology, the first thing is a technological uncertainty, followed by a systematic investigation, and then they're hoping that you have a technological advancement at the end. Those are technically the 3 steps, but the way you described it is perfect.
Yeah. Now, assuming that people are as slow on the uptick as I am, your company, you're not Shred. You don't represent the government of Canada. You are a facilitator. So folks, I mean, they can look you up. I'm gonna link your name on this story, but folks can actually just click and say, Jude, I don't have a clue, and you'll take it from there.
Yeah. So we will handle everything, of course, and we work with companies at all stages. And so if you're absolutely new to shred, just understand that a lot of companies do shred themselves. Many don't. Sometimes when companies get to a certain size, they decide, okay, you know what, I'm too busy. I need to focus on my core product. It's time to bring somebody else in. Sometimes companies have been going along for a while, and they have no idea how shred works, and the shred provider keeps telling them, hey, everything's great, and then they bring us in just to do an audit and check. If everything's great, fantastic, here you go. If everything isn't, we'll give you points so that you can maximize your shred claim, avoid audit triggers, all those sorts of things. The reason why people hire people like us or the shred firms is there is a lot of documentation. So on a court, you have to interview employees, like the key engineers that are the key people that are involved in certain projects. Shred is organized into projects, which of course each project has its own challenge. And so you have the interviews. The interviews let you know what those three things are: the technological challenge, the systematic investigation, of course, followed by hopefully technological advancement. And then there's going to be evidence, things like receipts, meeting minutes, email, Slack conversations, anything you can imagine can be used for evidence. And then of course there's financial data, which is receipts and things like that. And then of course the really big one, which is your labor costs. And so they're going to know, okay, well, you've got this person working in your company. What do they spend their time on? And you're trying to convince the CRA that they spent 70% of their time doing a shred item so that you can get 70% of the cost of their labor back, about 65%, but there you go. So all that sort of stuff in those meetings, those interviews, what happens is most companies, their year end is December 31. And then around February 1, they start panicking about their shred. And so they get together, they start trying to find stuff, and they're trying to remember what they were doing in January of last year. You can imagine how strong, sarcasm, your shred claim is when you're trying to remember what you were talking about a full year ago. And that's normal. You're not focused on shred. You're focused on trying to make your product successful, whether it's a product or a service. In our case, the only thing we care about is a strong shred claim for two reasons. One, we only get paid when you get paid. Once you've actually got the shred check in your hand, that's when you get invoiced from us.
Yeah.
Also, if we do a bad job on your claim, there's going to be an audit. And audits can take 2 to 5 times as much labor as the shred claim itself. And we don't charge anything extra for the audit. That's all on us. So it's 100% in our interest to make a strong, well-evidenced claim.
That sounds like a wonderful gift for, and now you and I talked about this before over nachos. And I remember, throw that in. This isn't the first time we met. Yeah, exactly. So we talked about this over nachos, and folks can do things as that stretch the sort of the parameters of technological advancement as far as, say, customer discovery, where they can say, I've got a product, I want to tweak and make the product better and keep. So they can go to customer. Part of the shred thing can cover, I go to customer, they tell me what to improve, I improve it, I go to customer, they tell me what to improve. So as long as it's a constant evolution, making the product better, you can use it for something that is very much in my wheelhouse, which is, you make a better product, it leads to a better brand, leads to easier marketing, leads to more money. So it doesn't have to be, dialing in a medical innovation that's all engineering based. It could be stuff that goes right to the border of where innovation and marketing meet.
Yeah, it goes right to the border. There is at some point a hard line, but they're completely attached. And we've got, interestingly, the same company this afternoon. Typically, if you got, like, think of deodorant, you're in London Drugs, you're trying to find.
Why is it that you always bring up deodorant when you're talking to me?
You know what? I think you're a great guy, but everyone's got an area of opportunity. And I'm going to send you some of this deodorant soon. We'll see how it works for you. It might help you with your rash.
Why is it with me you always bring up the rash?
That's, again, things we have in common. But anyway, so this product, it's the first thing you go to as a shredder is you think, okay, well, you had to do all this innovation and planning, and maybe there was, I don't know, nutritionists, maybe food scientists, maybe there was chemists involved. Who knows? I don't have a clue about how you make deodorant. But I just go to sort of the science and the testing side, right? But with this particular product, it has to be, it has to be sealed very carefully or it goes off. And so the actual packaging, which is usually never part of shred, might actually be part of shred because it's necessary to keep the product in its best shape, fresh, essentially fresh, like a vegetable. So that one is it's a different one, but it's a very interesting one. And it's the only thing that makes that product innovative is the actual is the actual packaging that allows it to stay on a normal shelf and not be put in the fridge.
See, to me, that just says that I want to bring somebody in because I don't want to learn this and get a bloody nose on the learning curve. I would much rather have somebody who knows what they're doing. Just go, all right, I can help you. You got to pay me X amount, X percent of the check that you get. Well, I'd rather get, whatever, 65% of something rather than 100% of nothing, or 75% of something rather than 100% of nothing. I don't even know what you guys charge, but
Mark, it's even better than that. You're going to get 85%. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Our rates are pretty
low,
good.
low.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? No, I'll get the commercial out of the way, but so we charge 50% with a 40K cap. And I'll say that because if you're out there shopping for shred providers, they are all over the place, and there's a range of them. There's people that are individual consultants, and those people are great, but they're going to max out at a certain amount of people they can take on, and if they get busy, then you may not be at the top of the pile anymore.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those people, they don't work with you all year round. They do the same thing that you would have done, which is just, hey, it's the end of the year, let's do our best. Then there's larger companies.
Yeah, that's the one we were talking about over nachos. Yeah, everybody's getting in the game, right?
Yeah, that's right. And then there's larger companies. They do the same thing. They're usually they'll work with you all year round. The question mark is on some of those larger companies, to keep the cost down, they will not employ a CPA.
Yeah, so they get junior talent.
They get junior talent. CPAs, they make well into six figures. They can be managers anywhere, or they can make even more in the private sector. And so getting a CPA-based shred firm where an actual CPA is looking at your claim, that along with decent rates and all your service, that's as far as I know, we're the only ones. But those are the things you're gonna want to look for. Just one warning. Again, I'm biased, but there is also providers out there that will charge you per hour. And so it sounds great because it sounds like it's going to be really cheap. But now they're in a situation where they're going to be paid. They're going to be successful no matter what happens with your claim.
Yeah, it takes all the skin out of the game.
It takes all the skin of the game. And additionally, maybe you only see an audit every 4 or 5 years, but the year that you do see one, like I said, it's 2 to 5 times the cost. I'm saying those to be conservative. It's definitely 4 to 5 times the cost, but let's pretend it's only 2 times the cost. Well, now all of a sudden it's way more expensive. We're not even counting the possibility that some of the shred was left on the table.
Yeah, I get scared when somebody quotes me hourly and they're, because you just go, whenever I pick up the phone, the meter's running. And so you don't pick up the phone and you get going back to what you want to get away from, which is doing it all yourself, because you want to save the money, because money's tight. Otherwise you wouldn't be looking at shred.
Can you imagine how tight the money is when the CRA has also had all sorts of breaches, isn't getting checks out to businesses, and some of these individuals who are like us and don't charge until they get paid? Well, all those shred checks aren't getting paid, and the smaller places, the smaller firms and the smaller individuals who aren't well capitalized, they're really struggling right now.
Oh, geez.
And that's not a positive or negative. It's a tough.
It just is.
Yeah.
It just is. Jude, thank you so much. I'm going to put this up for folks who are listening. It is not Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. when we were going to broadcast this, because we just couldn't make the schedules work. But I'm going to post this Tuesday at 10 o'clock in the morning so folks can check it out. And I'm going to link you in it so that everybody can come to you in the Brand DIY group and ask about this thing. Because I think it's just, one, it's an awesome gift, but a lot of people will be dissuaded from it because they'll think it's too scary. And what I love about what you're doing is that you just take the scary out of it. I love that.
Yeah, for sure. We answer questions. A lot of people, we were just working with a company last week. They're getting their first round of funding in a year, but they talk to us to see how they should plan for things. Because you get less contractors, employees are better for shred, so they just want to know about that. How much can you claim as an owner? All that stuff. That's very important when you're planning out your future labor force.
Love it, man.
Or how you're getting paid. Shred does not work with dividends. I'll let you know why.
Why?
Well, the CRA has to see it as a normal salary. And so they put 2 caps on owners. It's a big, long thing. But if you need shred planning, let us know. We can help you.
Yeah, it sounds to me like you're getting way past my snack bracket here.
Yeah.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later. Thank you so much. And we'll see if we can send some of the Brand DIYers your way.
Hey, sounds great. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Talk to you.
Yeah, bye.